The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. The Portrait of a Lady is an autobiographical short story by Khushwant Singh that poignantly explores the evolving relationship between the narrator and his grandmother, set against the backdrop of changing life circumstances. The story reflects on themes of love, loss, tradition, and the passage of time, capturing the grandmother's quiet strength, religious devotion, and the subtle yet profound bond she shares with the narrator. Now, summary of the story. The story begins with the narrator describing his grandmother, an elderly woman who has been old and wrinkled for as long as he can remember. About 20 years. He finds it hard to believe she was ever young or pretty, as people claim, especially since his grandfather's portrait shows a stern, aged man who seems unlikely to have had a wife. The grandmother, short, stout, and slightly bent, is a picture of serene beauty despite her wrinkles, with silver hair and habit of praying constantly while counting her rosary beads. The narrator compares her to a peaceful winter landscape embodying calm and contentment. In their early years in the village, the narrator and his grandmother shares a close bond. She wakes him, prepares him for school, and accompanies him to the temple attached school where she reads scriptures while he learns. They walk back together, feeding stray dogs with stale chapatis. This phase represents their deepest companionship. However, their relationship changes when the narrator's parents settled in the city, called them to join. This marks a turning point. The grandmother stops going to school with him as he now attends an English school by bus. She disapproves of the school's focus on Western subjects like science and music, which she associates with immorality, and feels unable to assist with his studies. Their interactions reduce, and her silence signals her disapproval, especially when he mentions music lessons. As the narrator grows older and moves to university, their bond weakens further. Given his own room, he becomes physically and emotionally distant. The grandmother accepts her solitude with resignation, spending her days spinning at her wheel, praying and feeding sparrows in the courtyard, which becomes her happiest time. The sparrow's lively presence contrasts with her quiet seclusion. When the narrator decides to study abroad for 5 years, he expects his grandmother, given her age, to be upset. Instead, she remains composed, silently praying and kissing his forehead at the railway station. Upon his return, she appears unchanged, still devoted to her sparrows. However, on the evening of his arrival, she behaves unusually. Instead of praying, she gathers neighbors' women, plays a worn out drum, and sings about warriors' homecoming, celebrating his return. The next morning, she falls ill, with a mild fever. Sensing her end, she refuses to talk, focusing solely on prayer. She dies peacefully, her rosary falling from her lifeless fingers. At her death, thousands of sparrows gather silently around her body, ignoring offered breadcrumbs, and fly away quietly after her corpse is taken, symbolizing their mourning. The story ends with a sense of quiet loss, mirroring the grandmother's serene yet profound presence. Themes and insights: bond of love and its evolution, tradition versus modernity, strength and resilience, mourning and loss. Key elements are grandmother's character, sparrows as a symbol, cultural context. Read these by yourself and then conclusion. The portrait of a lady is a tender reflection on familial bonds, the the inevitability of a change, and the quiet yet profound impact of a loved one's life and death. Through vivid imagery and understated emotion, Pushwant Singh captures the essence of a grandmother's love and the lingering sense of loss, making it a universal tale of a human connection.